Guys, the wait is over. It is a Conor McGregor fight week. He's taking on Dustin Poirier in the rematch. Nick and I are giving our predictions and talking about, does this fight go the same way as the first one right now? What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So it is officially a McGregor fight week. You've got the shirt on. Dustin Poirier, he's coming back after a nice win against Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
This is an amazing first pay-per-view of 2021. This is an amazing fight. It's an amazing rematch. I'm super excited for it.
Absolutely. I mean, Conor Mania is real. The shirt's an indicator. I'll probably have some more McGregor merch on as the week goes on. But the UFC is coming out strong, and the strongest hand they've got always, at all times, ever since 2015 or so, has been a Conor McGregor fight. So I'm very excited for him to get back in the octagon. You know, usually as fight fans over the past few years, we've been like itching to see more McGregor, and it's almost like he's been like not as eager as you know the promotion is to get him in there. And now, as of last year, he wanted to fight multiple times, and they couldn't seem to get the dates right and the opponents right. So it feels really good, and it's like a promising feeling where he's still engaged like he was in January of 2020 against Cerrone, and I feel like he's just starting a season and will actually be able to kick it off the right way going forward.
I mean, I was really looking forward to the 2020 season of Conor McGregor as he sort of laid it out in the beginning of 2020 before he defeated Cowboy Cerrone in spectacular fashion. Obviously, we know Conor McGregor is not the type of fighter to fight to empty seats.
Right.
Now, the stadium's only going to be at 10% capacity, but at least there's going to be some oohs and ahs and cheers and boos in the crowd. There's no way to have a Conor McGregor fight without at least some fans in attendance.
Right, and that's why I think the UFC largely, once the coronavirus hit, decided let's put him on ice, because I think we're going to see some things change come the new year. And I guess this is exactly they predicted right. They did the Mystic Mac prediction, and they were right. And you know, it is different, but after watching the card on Saturday that the UFC just had and hearing the crowd and stuff, it could have been 20,000 people. I don't know. But hearing the oohs and ahs and everything was really a breath of fresh air. It felt like fights of old. Seeing John Anik interviewing fighters inside the octagon was just something really cool. And it's something we obviously took for granted for so many years. But now that we have it back, I think we'll really cherish it.
Yeah, and the UFC does a really good job of not panning to the crowd too much, so you don't see how few people are there. I feel like certainly if I was one of the lucky people to be in attendance, I would be cheering and oohing and eyeing just a little bit louder to make it sound like this is a full stadium ready to roar for a great main event and a great fight card.
Right, deal with the sore throat on Sunday just to cheer a little extra loud.
You know, the funny thing about Conor McGregor's career is that the more you look back at it and the more that time goes on, it looks better and better.
Right.
I mean, what I mean by that is we saw what Max Holloway did just this past weekend. Now, I understand Max was a young 20, 21-year-old kid when him and Conor fought the first time, but Conor defeated him, and Max has gone on to become the best 145er of all time. Looks like the best 145er currently, bar none, even though he's not the current champion. Then you have Dustin Poirier, who was a tough competitor for Conor at 45 on his way up to snatching that belt. And Dustin Poirier has since made the jump to 55 and worked his way all the way up to interim champion and had a fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. So when you look at some of the people that Conor beat early on, they weren't necessarily big names at the time, but they have grown to be huge names, and Dustin Poirier may be the biggest of all. I'm very excited for this rematch, and I think it's different for a lot of reasons. I think Dustin and Conor have both matured as men and as fighters, and they're going to be showing a lot of different skills inside the octagon, skills that they didn't necessarily possess several years ago when they fought.
Yeah, and I think they both found their home at 155. That seems like the right division for both of them. At 145, that third, or I think it was Conor McGregor's fourth fight in the UFC was against Poirier, and that was a true test for him. Well, and that's what they were kind of touting is, Dustin Poirier is the legit, title contender, potential champion at some point in this division. And nobody really realized that Max Holloway was also
Yeah.
one of those guys and goes on to be one of the best. And a lot of people are talking about, especially after Max's last performance, him being the GOAT of the featherweight division. Hard to argue that. If you want to throw Jose Aldo in there, hard to argue that as well. I know some people like to throw Conor in there, and I'm going to say that it's hard to argue that he's not also. I think those are the top three, and that you could line them up any way you want to, because some of the records for featherweight go to Jose Aldo. He has some of the most important records in that division. Max Holloway has some of the craziest records in that division.
Recency bias. He's just put on an amazing 145 performance, so you have to kind of factor that in.
But Conor has wins over both of them, and Max beat Jose, so it's weird. But obviously, I think the strength of schedule and the amount of time spent at 145 probably edges out McGregor a little bit for Jose and Max. But I don't think that the sport as a whole has seen anything like what Conor's done at 45 and then at 55. And it's a crazy statistic. He's 1-1 at 55.
Wow.
That's his record at 55. He's
and he was the champion there.
7 or 8-0 at 45, 1-1. But people forget that he's 2-1 at 170.
Right.
So, he's done a lot of really impressive stuff and, taken titles with only 2 fights at a division. But that's really, really interesting. And I think that Conor's going to come in sharp, on point, looking, as crisp, and this could potentially be the best Conor McGregor that we've seen to date.
Yeah, if a picture tells 1,000 words, the pictures of Conor McGregor certainly look like he's taking this fight seriously. And if a picture says 1,000 words, what does a video say? Some of the videos I've seen of him and watching this road to the octagon, he looks like he's taken this fight very seriously, spent a lot of time in Portugal, kind of isolated away. He's got his partners, specific people that he's training with. He's doing his thing. Dustin Poirier obviously made the right decision coming up to 155 and being able to become the interim champion there. Dustin Poirier at American Top Team has a great camp around him, including his boxing coach, Dia Davis, who, as we mentioned before on this podcast, is one of the few people to defeat our friend and former coach, Alfonso Lopez. Not many people have beaten him in boxing. Dia Davis is one of them. Dia Davis is a fantastic boxing coach. He's the proper coach to prepare for a fighter like Conor McGregor. This fight's going to be different for a couple of reasons. And I'm not even necessarily saying that the outcome is going to be different, but it's going to be different in the sense that Dustin's chin is not going to fall from one punch like he fell at 45. Dustin was cutting a lot of weight at 45 to make that weight. He is much more durable. If you don't believe that, go back and watch the Dan Hooker fight that happened over the summer. Absolute war. You talk about the fights of 2020. Joanna and Wei Li obviously are the winners, but if there's a silver medal and a bronze medal on the podium, you have to think that Poirier versus Hooker fits somewhere on there, either in the silver or the bronze position. So when you watch Poirier, he's able to take much more of a shot at 55 than he was at 45. He's got his nutrition dialed in. He's filled his frame out a bit more, as has Conor. And I think this is going to be different because it's not going to take one shot to put Dustin down. It's going to take multiple shots. Yeah. So that being said, Conor is 22-4. 19 of those 22 wins have been in the form of knockout. So he's got a Gervonta Davis style, Deontay Wilder style of knockout ratio. Almost 90% of Conor's wins have ended with the left hand or some variation thereof.
Right.
How do you see this one going?
Well, I'm a big Conor McGregor fan. Obviously, I love Dustin Poirier too. He's one of just one of the good guys in the sport.
Sure.
And with the things he's doing with the charity and trying to help out underprivileged kids, you gotta love that. And it's hard not to cheer for him. And I do cheer for him. I cheer for both of these guys. I cheer for good fights. And when there's two fighters that I really enjoy, it's hard for me to pick. But Conor McGregor is just an undeniable force in this sport. And when he's winning and doing his thing and up for title contention, and this is clearly a number one contender's fight, there's just something in me that pulls for that McGregor to come out. And we want to see some spectacular history get made. And usually when Conor is in this kind of form, we get history.
We get those special
these,
nights.
Yeah, special nights where when we look back 20 years from now, we're going to be like, wow, we were around and we were right in it when we were watching these fights happen. And we got to, it's like the Floyd Mayweather fight with Conor. The older we get, that thing's just going to age like wine. Like, it's so cool that we got to see that. And it's not like one of those Muhammad Ali fights where they just talk about how cool it was to be around then. It's like, no, we were actually around during some of the craziest moments in MMA history, and we have to thank Conor for a lot of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had his ups and downs. He's had his moments where you wondered, is he going to come back from this? He seems like he's fallen off the rails a little bit. Yeah. And then he kind of comes in and out of dedication. But one thing is for sure, when Conor McGregor is dedicated and he's motivated, he's one of the best 155ers on the planet, one of the best all-around mixed martial artists on the planet. I personally think the outcome is going to be the same. I think Conor is going to beat Dustin via TKO.
Yeah.
I don't believe he does it in the first round. As I said, Dustin is not going to go down just from one punch. Dustin's chin at 55 holds up much better. Dustin is much more seasoned now. He's matured, he's older, and he seems able to engage in these type of wars a little bit more so than he was several years ago when he was fighting at 145. However, I still think the outcome is going to be the same, and I'm going to call it as a second-round TKO. Conor McGregor is got almost a 90% knockout ratio, and then if you look at the losses on his record, there's 4 of them. Mm-hmm. All 4 of them come by way of submission.
Right.
He has never lost a decision, and he's never been knocked out. If Conor loses, it's by submission. He knows he gets susceptible. He gets tired in the later rounds. He gives his back. And he taps. Right. And so that's kind of been his MO as far as losing goes. Now, Dustin does have 7 submissions on his record. He's got 26 victories, I believe. 7 of them came by way of submission. So you do have to kind of at least consider that. I don't think that's the way the fight's going to go. But Dustin definitely has the ability to submit an opponent. The reason I don't think that this could go in Dustin's favor is because he's only got really a 42%, I believe, knockout ratio. When you look at his 26 wins, I think only 12 of them come by way of knockout. Yeah. Conor McGregor has never been knocked out. And I think what you're going to see happen here is the first round is going to be very competitive. They're both going to land some good shots. Conor is going to land some shots that visibly hurt Dustin. And then you're going to see him in the second round make a few tweaks and be able to find that shot that puts Dustin on the ground and ultimately end it with some ground and pound. I think his ability to finish fights, especially this type of fight, is kind of Conor's specialty. And the only time we really see Conor lose is when he gasses against an opponent that's got a substantial advantage in the grappling department, and I don't see that being the case with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. And, one thing that Conor said, and then later on I also heard Poirier say, is Conor came out and said that he's going to finish him in 60 seconds.
Right,
and
I saw that.
Dustin said that within the first 60 seconds, there's going to be blood coming out of both of our faces, pretty much. So that makes me believe that there's going to be a firefight right from the jump. And that's something that if I was in Dustin Poirier's corner, I would not want to do it. Conor McGregor is susceptible to gassing out when you drag him into the deeper waters, the later rounds. That's what I would be doing. I would be letting him, Conor's very good at winning the first round. I don't know if there's ever been a fight he didn't win the first round.
Yeah.
Even against Floyd Mayweather, he won the first round.
First couple of rounds.
Yeah, first couple of rounds, but the first one was clear as day. And I think in MMA, he always comes out really sharp in the beginning. He lets it all out there, usually brings such a heavy storm that nobody can stay up after a couple of rounds. But then if you are Nate Diaz or somebody really tough like that, then you start to see him gas and fade actually like pretty quickly. He's like a sports car. Once it's gone, once the gas is gone, it's like just like racing around the track pretty slow.
Yeah.
And it takes him about a round and a half, the third round and half of the fourth round, to really pick back up, and then he can usually finish strong again. If I was Dustin, if I was in his corner, I'd say, look, let's go ahead and compete well and stay safe and kind of concede this first round, pick up the pace a little bit come round 2, and then move in round 3 when he starts to get tired. And we know you have that good gas tank, Dustin, and you can throw punches and bunches, and let's just start to tire him out, try to overwhelm him then. the fact that Dustin's team says that they're going to, bring the pain and blood's going to be spilled in the first 60 seconds makes me think that that's not the game plan they're going in with. And I do think that Dustin will have a few more shots that he's able to take at 155 against Conor, but I think Conor's going to land a bunch of strong shots, and they're going to come very interesting ways. Not just the left hand. You're going to see some knees. You're going to see, hey, we saw the shoulder strikes. You're going to see something interesting is going to happen, and I think Conor gets him out of there in the first round, just like he did the first time. And like I said, I like your prediction for second round, but and that would probably be we'd have mirroring predictions if Dustin didn't come out and say within the first 60 seconds we're both going to be bleeding, because
that does throw a wrench into it, right? And if I'm the coaching staff, the ATT coaching staff over there with Dustin, obviously those guys know what they're doing. They've got multiple world champions, so who am I to say that they're coming in with the wrong game plan? But that being said, I'm going to say that they're coming in with the wrong game plan. You cannot engage with a firefight with Conor McGregor out of the gate. Conor McGregor has shown time and time again that he's, as I said, he's got the finishing ratio of Deontay Wilder. Even on this
opponent, he's added this guy to the hit list.
Exactly. And Dustin's only been knocked out over 30 pro MMA fights. Dustin's been knocked out twice, one of them to Conor McGregor. Yeah. So, you have to respect that power from Conor. And when you look at what Nate Diaz did, what Khabib did, is they drug him into the deep rounds, and then they finished him via submission, because once he gasses, he tends to be easy to advance position on and ultimately get submitted. I think if they come out and it's a firefight from the gate, it's going to substantially favor Conor.
Yeah.
Because he's going to, as you said, he's going to come out, he's going to land a few big shots. Maybe we see some knees. Hell, maybe we see a head kick like he threw against Cowboy Cerrone, but that's what we're going to get out of the gate. Dustin Poirier is going to be able to survive the initial onslaught, but how much damage is going to be done in that initial onslaught? I think the better approach would be to come out, stay behind your jab, do enough to make the first round competitive, probably go to Conor, start to see, is he breathing heavy in the second round? Is there a little bit less pop on his punches? And then maybe try to start to take over and work your game plan, as you said, end of second, beginning of the third. But if you're going to go out there and engage in a firefight from the jump with Conor McGregor, I'm sensing a TKO.
Yeah, nobody's sharper in the first round, and even the first minute of the first round, than Conor. It's hard to find somebody that performs as well as he does in the first round. And
who knows if Aldo hadn't been so, discombobulated by all the trash talk and had come out a little bit more seasoned and not so gung-ho to just take Conor's head off. That could have been a fight for the ages. Who knows what would have happened?
Yeah, we don't know. And he did connect on that shot. Just Conor connected a little bit before him and a little bit more powerful. I think that Dustin has the skills, and he's a great competitor, tough as nails, and he could do what he needs to do to get the win. But it's just hard to see him beating McGregor after taking the loss the first time 6 years ago. That's been sitting in his mind for a long time. And I know he's been able to kind of wipe the slate clean and get himself, on a new track. And, his journey through martial arts has had a lot of ups since that day.
Yeah, no question.
And I think
he's defeated legends.
Yeah, I think the weight class is also important. I think that this will give Dustin a better chance. I think no matter what Conor does, and I believe he's been working a lot on his cardio, but come the end of round 2, round 3, he will always gas, because the way he's shaped, and you can see him now in these most recent pictures and videos that have come out, he's more muscular than he usually is, and muscle just slows you down. It's good to have it.
He throws heavy shots too. He throws a lot of heavy shots.
Right. It's great to have muscle. You need to have it to be a knockout artist like Conor, but that comes with a price. Yeah, exactly. And that means if you're going to throw heavy punches, you're not going to last that long. The great Chael always says, if you go for the KO or the TKO, expect to not win the decision. And that's what Conor does. And he comes and comes and comes, and usually he gets that KO or TKO, but if not, then he usually it doesn't go his way towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that that's what we're going to see here. We're going to see, and when you talk about the way that Conor fights, that is when somebody says this person doesn't have a gas tank, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously Conor's well conditioned. Look at his body. Look at what he's doing. If you're training mixed martial arts twice a day and you're doing strength and conditioning and you've got a team around you, you're going to be well conditioned.
Right.
But if you think about why do certain fighters gas and others don't, some of them do have better cardio. When you think like a Colby Covington comes to mind. But Colby throws shots at like 50, 60% the entire fight. Yeah. So, go to a heavy bag and just punch it at 50% for a few minutes, and you're going to be tired, but you're not going to be exhausted. Go to that same heavy bag and punch it half of the volume, but do it 100% every time. Mm-hmm. You're going to be exponentially more tired doing that. So it's the way that Conor fights. He comes out, and that's what makes Conor Conor. He comes out and he tries to knock people dead in the ring and just put a staple on it and say, this is like, this guy wasn't even on my level.
Right.
And that's Conor McGregor. But if it doesn't work out for him in that way, he tends to fade.
Right. And it also has to do with his body type. He's a very muscular guy, a fast twitch type of fighter. That's why, somebody like Nate Diaz doesn't carry near as much muscle, but he can go all day long and he can do these, marathons or triathlons, whatever it is he does, these long distance things. I don't think Conor has that in him to go those types of distances. And I think what we're going to see in this particular fight is we're going to see both people come out, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, and leave it all on the line in the first round and give us an incredible fight. But, and actually it's going to be a competitive fight for as long as it lasts.
Yep.
I just don't see it lasting much more, if at all, more than 5 minutes.
Does it last longer than the first one?
Yeah. Conor said no, but I think Dustin's a little bit stronger, a little bit more durable at 55, so I'm going to say yes, but it still gets finished in the first round, and I think it's going to be in spectacular knockout fashion.
Yeah,
Conor.
I think so too. And going back to the submission possibility, because we know if Conor loses, it's by submission. Dustin is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. He does have submissions. He submitted Anthony Showtime Pettis. Right. That was in 2017. Anthony Showtime has submitted some great people. Gilbert Melendez, a great black belt.
Right.
So to submit Showtime is no small feat. So I don't think we can discount completely the possibility that if Dustin can drag Conor into rounds 4 and 5 and get him on the ground, who knows?
What I would say is the only way we see a submission is by Dustin Poirier, and the only way we see that is if it gets carried into the later rounds and then Conor shoots for a takedown like he did against Nate Diaz. If that's the case, then I think Dustin will get a hold of the neck, and he's really good from that position at either cinching up a guillotine or transitioning into something, moving towards your back or something like that. But
it's worth noting he did put Khabib in a guillotine.
Yeah,
it was not effective. Khabib didn't ultimately tap.
He knows how to escape that. But yeah, I think that's the only way we see that. Dustin's also an entertaining fighter, very entertaining, just like Conor. And I think we're going to see these guys put their dukes up and just see who the tougher man is. And Dustin's tough as nails, but Conor McGregor's a tough fighting Irish guy. And there's some momentum right now. It's Conor Mania. I can't help but cheer for the guy. And I think that the real winners are us as fans, because we get to see Conor McGregor back in competition, starting the brand new year, just how we started last year. Amazing.
That's it. It's like we hit the reset button on 2020. Yeah. We're starting the pay-per-view year with a Conor card, and he's saying there's going to be a season.
And there better be more than one Conor fight this year.
Barring some sort of other natural disaster, I think we see Conor McGregor fight multiple times this year.
Yeah, and winner of this deserves a shot at the title.
No question. Yeah. No question about it. And Khabib did say he wants to see something exciting out of somebody. So I was kind of like let down by that announcement, if I'm being totally honest. I was hoping for something a little bit more concrete rather than say, let's see what happens. Like, well, that doesn't really tell me much. But my guess is that if Conor McGregor knocks out Dustin Poirier in the first round in emphatic fashion, we know he's going to get on the mic and say something. I would put big money on the fact that Khabib's name comes out of his mouth.
Yes, and if you've been listening to him, he's been respectful, but also taking his shots at Khabib, as far as these interviews have gone and why Khabib left, and he scurried away out of the division because he doesn't want to fight him again. And it's all fun, but he is a genius promoter, and he knows how to sell a fight. And one thing that he knows how to do besides sell a fight is get a fighter interested in fighting him.
Conor McGregor, the dad, the husband, can be very respectful these days. Mystic Mac, the Notorious McGregor, shirtless and sweaty at the end of a fight on a microphone, doesn't tend to be so respectful. So even though Conor is behaving himself right now, expect some adrenaline to come out if he knocks out Dustin Poirier in emphatic fashion.
Yeah, and we've got a game, shaved head, scary, sharp, on-point McGregor ahead of us. Just, 6 days away?
Oof, I think 5 days now.
5 now. Wow.
I'm so excited. Guys, let us know in the comments, how do you think this fight's going to go? Is it going to go the same way as it did the first time? Is it going to be different? The odds makers are saying it's going to go the same way. But we want to hear from you. And as always, we really appreciate you watching our videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed. And check us out on audio where you listen to podcasts. Until next one, have a great day, guys.
Enjoy the fights. Peace.